Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome into episode number 37 of our WWE 2021 Save in TEW 2020. This is going to be our week 2 in September edition of Raw. But before we get there, wanted to jump in quickly to some other stuff going on in our game, which means AEW All Out, which of course AEW held pay-per-view. Looks like they did about 16,000 fans. A lot of praise, a great show. They didn't strike gold. Victory us. Kenny Omega set to be the star of the show. Let's see what that looks like. I know that's, it's always interesting to compare, even though we're still certainly far and away the top company. Let's see here. So 70 overall, not a great show. No match for really any pay-per-view we've done thus far. It's certainly no match for SummerSlam. If we go down here, there's not really... What is there that they did great? Okay, so the final couple things here looks like FTR. Okay, so they got new AEW World Tag Team Champions. FTR beats the Young Bucks and Proud and Powerful. Cody Rhodes and Pac, so that's the best match on the show. Well, excuse me, no, it wasn't here. We got this. Miro defeated MJF and Andrade to retain the TNT title, and then Jericho beats Omega to retain the AEW World title. So that was the best match on the show. No surprise on that, but 70, not great. They need to, get to our level. That's the way I look at it. But it's also funny because I saw this. Kenny Omega has invented a new move. Well, good for him. Looks like AEW fans buzzing about it. I will take any of your guesses on the names for the move. I think I'm going to put this on the Reddit as well. See what names people come up with for this supposed new move here for Kenny Omega with that. Also, another interesting note, Loretto Kid, I saw this, MLW. Looks like he's apparently been spoken to by police after several threatening messages for Court Bauer, the head booker there at MLW. So that's something. Luckily, none of our stars in WWE have done that thus far. If it was going to be anyone, I don't know who it would be, but we'll see. Loretto Kid's an interesting one, though, too. Like, he may be kind of on our short list. I don't know where. We've got a pretty packed roster, but when you look at his stats, the stats are really good. He's 34, but still, these are pretty good stats in terms of what he can do in the ring, and certainly we look at all the aerial flashing and stuff. So he's an interesting one. I think I'm going to add him to my short list. Actually, he's already on my short list. So that's something that could be interesting to look at down the road. I don't know if we'll do anything with that yet, but when the guy is being spoken to by the police after threatening the booker, who doesn't want that guy on your roster? But there were some quick thoughts looking at AEW All Out and Kenny Omega's new move. But let's jump into what is going to be one of our most packed editions of Raw yet, I think. Of course, highlighted by the main event, which will be that triple threat for the WWE Championship. Okay, so I lied. We have one other news item right before Raw that I wanted to put on here. It looks like we're even more hostility now with NXT. CMLL has now turned to war with our developmental brand here. Of course, if you followed the save, you know that NXT is basically at war with everyone at this point. And we'd like to think that has a lot to do with Triple H, but what can we say? He's clearly starting war with everyone. If we look at NXT quickly here, relationships, and you can see here, actually, we can just look at it. Oh, no, actually, hold on. So AEW, we know, declared war with AEW. NXT has CMLL, hostile attitude. If we continue to go down the list here, New Japan of America, war on NXT. New Japan declared war on NXT. Oh my, all of these are positive ones here. But yeah, this entire group here. So we now have AEW, CMLL, and basically every New Japan entity there is declaring war on us. So there's another added bonus. And as you'll see here, this is a very good thing for some upcoming storylines we have in this little decision right here. So we will find that out soon enough. But now, let's get into Raw, unless there's a backstage incident involving Ricochet, which we know is always a possibility. All right, we jump into Raw with the pre-show here, as it is John Morrison defeating Akira Tozawa 706. Decent little match here, 58 overall. Morrison now with a mini winning streak going on, as of course last week on Raw he beat Angelo Dawkins. Now gets a win here over Tozawa on the pre-show. We will start to do a little bit more with our friend John Morrison here moving forward. And with Tozawa, as we know by now, we can put him in there with anyone and he's going to have a pretty solid match. So that's the pre-show, because we got a lot to get to on this episode of Raw. I kept typing it up. This is easily, from a match standpoint, our biggest show thus far in the series in terms of just a weekly television show. This will be our biggest Raw thus far from a match standpoint. And we got a lot happening here. So let's jump into it. And we start with a certain champion. And a great way to start here, 85 overall, as it's Kevin Owens. He said it last week. He was, after this feud with Goldberg, he was taking a little bit of a mental break there on the last episode of Raw, but now he's ready. The U.S. title Open Challenge is officially back underway. And something to note here before we jump into the match, Michael Cole is on commentary here instead of Jimmy Smith. I will say that, I've mentioned it before, we've kind of tried to have something in the works to change our commentary. There's still something in the works. I don't know if it's going to actually happen or not. We're working on some things contract-wise and such. We'll talk about that if it doesn't happen. But for this episode, I went ahead and just put Michael Cole on commentary here because we are going to make that change, which we've kind of, pointed out pretty obviously that it was going to happen at some point. There's another way I want to do it, but we're just not there yet. So I'm going to put Cole on the commentary for now, and by next week's Raw, it could change. But we are working on that front. But I think just by having Cole on this, it will help out a little bit, even if he is also on SmackDown. Michael Cole, the voice of WWE now, everywhere, at least for this week, of these two episodes. So, all right, Kevin Owens ready for the U.S. title Open Challenge. Who's going to answer that challenge? And it is AJ Styles. So, 79 overall here, good segment. So back-to-back good segments to start the show. AJ Styles, remember last week it was Styles saying that he had gone from mad to angry, and now he was going to, bring back something that, basically should have brought back a long time ago. People are going to see sort of a different approach and a different side of AJ Styles. Let's see if it turns out AJ Styles, Kevin Owens on this already jam-packed episode of Raw. So let's see if they deliver. And of course they do. 82 overall. Good stuff here from these two. As it is, Kevin Owens and AJ Styles fighting to a draw in 15-28, the double pinfall. So, great match, good back and forth match between these two. We see Owens in ring 86, Styles 69. We've talked about that before with Styles. This was something where, declining physical ability and all that stuff. But if we look at how we set some of the stuff here, we did, use the all out. No, we wanted them to go all out. We, of course, called it in the ring, given their psychology. So that played out pretty well here in an 82 overall for these two guys. So pretty pleased with how that turned out. But like we said, if we kind of look at the scenario here with Styles, I think that, stamina is also something. We started to see that more with Styles. The inconsistency, stamina, physical ability, all that stuff. So, it's fine, but we're not gonna be upset about an 82 match overall. But we know kind of with Styles, that's where it's at. But clearly, Styles, who said he was gonna basically, kind of turn things around this week on Raw, it didn't necessarily happen because he fights to a draw here, so he's not the United States champion. Owens retains via the draw, and that sets off our friend AJ Styles, who jumps Kevin Owens from behind, 70 overall, not bad here, and just completely, starts to go after Owens, and we just see AJ Styles snap. Like, we see him lose it. This was his big plan, to bring out a side of him. He just wrestled a great match. He looked like he was about to become the U.S. champion. It didn't happen, and so he loses it, beats down Kevin Owens, and AJ Styles just furious at this turn of events. When this was his big moment to kind of prove that he was bringing out a different side of himself to start winning more matches after losing at King of the Ring, losing to Big E. But couldn't happen here. It's a draw. So even when Styles gets a pinfall, he doesn't win the championship because it was a double pin. So that will certainly lead to more in the future for both of these two in particular. But a good start to this Raw. And then we get a segment here, as it is Io Shirai and Liv Morgan. They were attacked last week after their singles match together. It was Shayna Baszler and Sonya Deville who came out and attacked both of them, seemingly just for no reason, just because they're two badasses and they just want to kick someone's ass, I guess. That's kind of what it looked like to me, but 67 overall, not bad here, really. I mean, you see, we get the good notes here from Io Shirai and Liv Morgan, so we'll take that. Like, that's pretty good stuff. From them two, I think, here, and to get a 67, and certainly this was very, we plotted this out. We wanted to put them with Austin because we knew it would kind of help the rating a little bit. So we put them with Austin here, and so they won a match with Shayna Baszler and Sonya Deville, and Austin says, hey, I'll give it to you. So there is the match, and it is set as it will be Io Shirai and Liv Morgan challenging Shayna Baszler and Sonya Deville for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships at Unforgiven. So our first match is officially set for Unforgiven, as it will be these two against the champs. So nice little mix of talent, I think, in that one. So I'm curious to see what we get out of that. But there's your tag team championship match on the women's side for Unforgiven. And then we get a promo with Cesaro, who is hyping his match with Mustafa Ali. Again, another pretty big match just based on what we've been building to. So another good match on this show. 60 overall. I mean, we kind of know, right, with Cesaro. We know, like, promos and stuff, or he's not going to get great ratings for that. So we put him with Graves here to see if that would, maybe help out a little bit. But it doesn't do a whole lot. But Cesaro, of course, ready to finally have this match. Of course, they had their match at King of the Ring, and that's the one that sort of started this whole thing, where Ali attacked him afterwards, and all that, and that led to, him likely not winning King of the Ring because of just getting, taken out by Ali. And then these two have kind of been on different brands and finding each other at different pay-per-views and all that, and Ali just cost Cesaro a shot at the Money in the Bank. So Cesaro says he's ready for the match, but he also says once he gets done with Mustafa Ali, he's coming after Edge and Randy Orton because he knows that now who was responsible for him being attacked when everyone thought that perhaps, when we had that sort of dramatic end to Raw, everyone thought it could be Ali, everyone thought it could be Orton. Well, now we know who exactly it was. So Cesaro not in a happy mood, and let's see if that turns into a victory for him. And it does in 74, so a really good match here too. So this is solid stuff from these two. Actually, I think this is much better than their previous match, which I want to say got like maybe high 60s, something like that. So he goes 15:08 here, a really, pretty lengthy match from our Raw standards. Gets the sharpshooter, forces Ali to tap out, and we get the crowd buzzing here. So this has been a fantastic start to this Raw, exactly what we wanted when we booked it with these types of matches in mind. So I'm very pleased with this. Like 74 overall, if we look at our notes, we did go for Steal the Show. So we did add that as the aim of the match, knowing that we were going to give them a little bit of time, and we did at 15 minutes, and turned out well. I mean, they really performed pretty well here, so I'm very pleased with this. And, finally, seemingly, our feud between these two that has kind of carried over since the start of the save, this, I think, will pretty much serve, as you'll see, as sort of the blow-off for that. But they do it in a big way with a great match, 15 minutes and 8 seconds and a 74. Well, we'll take that because I think, popularity-wise, Ali's, in the 60s. Cesaro, I think, what we saw? He was upper 60s, low 70s maybe. So I'll take that. A really good performance from these two, and Cesaro gets the win. And we continue the momentum here, 82 overall, as it is Stone Cold Steve Austin announces we got another match for Unforgiven, and it's another women's match, as it will be Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks for the number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship. That's going to take place in Unforgiven, so that's a big match on the Unforgiven card. And so we have Austin basically with all three of these women here. Of course, these three were in the ring last week on Raw, kind of setting up the tension there. But it's official. It's going to be Becky versus Sasha Banks, and Bayley just sort of sitting back in the corner, realizing that her next opponent's going to be one of these two women here, either her so-called best friend or the returning man in Becky Lynch. So I'm excited to see what we get out of this, but that's a big match at its Unforgiven. Becky versus Sasha, and as you can see, I mean, look at this. Like, this Raw has really delivered thus far. I'm hoping we don't get any injuries because things are going almost too well on this Raw to this point. But a great segment here, I'm really excited about the direction that's going to involve all three of these here moving forward. Just a really strong top part of the Raw Women's circuit here after we know such a terrible start to the series with Rhea Ripley's injury and Nikki Cross and everything. Like, everyone's just not available. But we've turned things around. We've got Becky back, Bayley and Sasha at their best. We've got Io Shirai, Liv Morgan, now we've got the women's tag champs, Shayna and Sonya, having a chance to come to Raw. So a lot of good stuff happening, I think, with the women's side. So. And Becky, who's like, all right, I've got a match, or, she's got her match for Unforgiven. Well, now she's ready just to have a quick match here, and she does. Is a 66. Not bad, actually, as she gets the win over Carmella, 347, very short match. I didn't love putting Carmella in a short match like this. I didn't love putting her in this spot because if you look at it, her stats, like, she does have star quality, and her actual in-ring skills, in at least in this mod and stuff, like, they're actually pretty good. So we could probably be doing more with Carmella at this point, but as we said, I mean, we've got Becky, we've got Sasha, we've got Bayley, Io Shirai's there now. I mean, it's kind of hard. We need to have a heel somewhere, and that's kind of what Carmella's been put into. And I know Becky Bayley and Sasha are, but we just kind of need someone to lose some matches every now and then. But this is, again, sort of a different type of thing where we're just wanting, all right, Becky's back. It's her first match back. And she just needs to say, hey, she still got it. And so she does here in a very quick win over Carmella. So 66, we'll take that. Not bad at all on that. And then 76, so this actually could have been a lot better, but for the first time, I don't think we've actually gotten this before with Big E. Poor trying to improvise the dialogue, and maybe it was because he was so nervous about this big challenge that Big E is throwing down, because last week, we saw the Goldberg kind of coming off his loss to Kevin Owens, embarrassed by his performance in that. Big E decides to come out and say, you know what, Goldberg, I think you've still got one match left in you. I think you're still the legend that you've always been, even if our stats tell a different story in this game. But Big E says that he is offering one more challenge to Goldberg. He's always wanted that match. He's always wanted, to step in the ring with a guy who, one of his inspirations for getting into wrestling and all this stuff. So Big E challenges Goldberg to a match, and as we see, it kind of starts, a little segment where a little storyline we're going to have here. Big E's big challenge. So Big E challenging Goldberg. So let's see what comes of that. But that's an interesting development with Goldberg seemingly teasing his retirement. And Big E saying, "Nuh-uh, not yet. Like, I think you've got one more match in you, and I want it to be against me." So Big E laying down the gauntlet for Goldberg, and another good segment here that could have been better. And then, so we don't keep things going too great on the match front. 53, but we sort of expected this. Another sort of quick match here, as it was the New Day getting the win. They come off that Big E promo, and they get the win over Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin. Pretty short match here, as, we get the tag team bonuses and such as usual, but it all goes back just to the overness. We know Gable and Benjamin not very over. New Day are champions. This was not for the tag titles, just sort of your exhibition match for our tag champions here on Raw. So the New Day, another win, and this is, just even more momentum for them. And, I'm not really upset about this. I knew it was, we had to allocate a lot of the time to some of the big matches, and that's why you're seeing, maybe kind of a wider discrepancy than usually. Because usually, leading up to this, we've had a lot of matches very similar range and time, but we tried to structure it a little bit different way, and I think it's going to work out better here with this. But a short match here with the New Day winning once again. And then it's not all for the New Day, because after their match, they're excited, celebrating, another good, nice victory for them. And then here come the Dirty Dogs. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode hit the ring, and they lay out the New Day. So you can probably have a good guess of where that's headed with Unforgiven down the road, not too far away at this point. So the Dirty Dogs, who have not really had a lot of momentum in our save, they come back, they get a win last week, and now apparently all it took was one win for them to feel like that they're going to just go straight after the tag team champions. I can't blame them. I mean, you go right for the top, right? So Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode standing tall here over the New Day. We'll see what comes of that. And then not a great match here either, 63 overall, as it is Sheamus defeating Angelo Dawkins in 7:37 with the bro kick. Dawkins, had that match, good performance. He's had some good ones. I mean, he beat Ziggler not long ago. He, kind of had the match last week against Morrison. He lost that one, and now he loses this one here. But really, it's kind of been sort of twofold. We wanted to get Dawkins in some of these singles matches because you'll see, kind of have something else in the works, at least for this second, with Montez Ford. And Sheamus is back. So Sheamus was not at Raw last week after, that brutal Money in the Bank match at SummerSlam. But Sheamus is back here and he gets a win. So this was sort of the goal on that, is to just kind of give Sheamus a little bit of momentum back after losing in the Money in the Bank. And even though Dawkins off his game, I still think we've got some exciting stuff in store for Dawkins, Ford, Sheamus, all of these people that are, I guess, associated with this match in some way, shape, or form. And then a big segment here, 87 overall, as it is Edge and Randy Orton backstage, and they are getting ready, to go to Edge, getting ready to go to the ring. Orton's ready to go with him for this big triple threat main event for the WWE Championship. And Stone Cold Steve Austin walks up with a big smile on his face, and he's just done with these guys. He's tired of dealing with their nonsense. They bamboozled everyone, and Austin says, "All right, go ahead, head to the ring." And they both get ready to head to the ring, and he says, "Wait just a second. I meant you, Edge. Randy Orton, you're banned from ringside. You cannot be involved, ringside during this match." So that leaves Edge and Orton fuming. They're not happy with Steve Austin, and they are just left sort of shaking their heads, contemplating what are they going to do as Austin walks off with a big smile on his face. So that's sort of the setup here. And we see here Edge did not do well without a script to follow. Another one that's just very unusual. Usually he works fine without it. So, but Randy Orton banned from ringside heading into the big main event. Speaking of the main event, Bobby Lashley and MVP backstage, and Lashley just ranting and raving. Good segment here. And it is Bobby Lashley, talking about how much he hates Edge. He hates Daniel Bryan. Bobby Lashley is pissed off from losing his WWE Championship at SummerSlam, and he basically takes aim at Edge because Edge is now the champion. This is his rightful rematch, and he's going to go out there and destroy Edge. So even though Lashley is the heel, Edge is the heel, Lashley doesn't care. He just wants to go out and beat someone up, and he wants his championship back. So that is the setting here for our championship match, triple threat main event. Let's see what happens. And a 79, I would have liked that to be a little bit better. I'm not going to lie to you. But it is Edge defeating Daniel Bryan and Bobby Lashley. 20 minutes, 49 seconds. Edge pinning Lashley with a handful of tights. And Edge makes his first defense of the WWE Championship. However, I will add in a note here where there was, in the finish, the reason Edge was able to pin Bobby Lashley with a handful of tights is that even though Randy Orton was banned from ringside, towards the end of the match, Randy Orton's music hits, and that distracts Daniel Bryan and Bobby Lashley momentarily, and that allows Edge to throw Bryan out of the ring, handful of tights for Lashley. Edge rolls him up, gets the win. So this works out very well. We tie a little more facets of this story in, even though Orton wasn't at ringside. Somehow Orton's music hits, and that causes enough of a 1 second, 2 second distraction to allow Edge to come out of this with the championship. So a pretty good match here. Like I said, I would have liked it to be a little bit better. If we look at our notes, we did add that in. Daniel Bryan should be distracted by Randy Orton as a finish. So Edge wins, Bobby Lashley loses. So it worked out really well here with that. Performance-wise, everyone worked pretty well here. So 79, we'll take it. Edge is still the champion, but we're not finished yet, because all of this stuff that Edge and Randy Orton, all that they've been doing over the past 3 months to just really upset everyone, and all the people that, they have put in their crosshairs and have pretty much swerved them to make them think that they were, on their side, at least from Edge's standpoint. Well, now they're all here. So we've got all of the guys that were involved in this whole scenario, everyone that really, almost everyone, that Edge and Orton kind of, played, I guess you could say, here with all of their maneuvering, all their planning and plotting. Here comes all of their enemies just to surround the ring. And just, for reference, this happens, Lashley stormed off You've got Edge still in the ring, and Orton makes his way down because now the match is over, so he can be ringside. He comes in, Bryan's there, very mad, very angry, and then we start to see all these other people start to trickle in one by one, and that is where you get Rey Mysterio, Cesaro, Dominic, Montez Ford, all of these people who in some way, shape, or form have kind of found themselves put in a very bad spot, either attacked, all of this stuff. Like, we know, like, all of these people have, been involved with these two in particular. So 75 overall. Dominic doesn't look great, which is okay. I mean, Dominic's not very over. We haven't done anything with him in a while since that match he had with Randy Orton. That was months ago. And then Montez Ford without a script. That's fine. But that's kind of the thing here, is you kind of have that visual of, okay, Edge and Orton, they escape, championship still Edge's. He's defended against the two people that, the rematch clause, now it's over. He doesn't have to defend against Bryan or Lashley. He's beaten both of them. But then they start to see all of these people surround them, and they realize that they are far from finished when it comes to what they've done. They sort of start to see their reality in front of them, with all of these people now setting their sights on them in particular for what they've done. So that's the way we end the show. And as we'll see here, 81 overall, very good edition of Raw. Popularity increases in a lot of places. That's good. I do think just in that first 3 months or so, we spent a lot of time trying to build up people just with wins over, inferior opponents and such. But now we've kind of set the table where we have people where we want them. And I just think it's going to work out really well for a lot of interesting storylines, a lot of interesting matches on our weekly TV. And you'll see what I mean even more as things start to play out over the next month or so on our show. So really good edition of Raw. And let's see what we need to get to before we wrap up. All right, so Raw was excellent, striking gold as we do. Drug test fees here, decent rating, 3.84. I don't know where that stands. So Grand Metal League's contracts ending, we'll adjust and kind of address what we need to do on that. Another sort of decision to make here, and I think that's another one that's going to be in our favor for some of the things we have in store. That was Raw, and as always, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And oh, by the way, the reason I decided to put this one out, a little bit early. Sometimes I do 2 or 3 days in between each video, but I'm gonna actually put out the next video in this on the channel. I should say that, not in the series, but the next video on the channel, which should be up. I think the plan will probably be either Sunday or Monday. It's going to be a quick video choosing what our next sort of save and series is going to be here on the channel. I've talked to you guys a lot about that with giving you some votes and everything, and we've kind of, juggled around different ideas with what historical save we would like to do. Well, I will tell you that I've narrowed it down to 2, and we're going to look at both of those mods in the next video of the series. So this will be a little bit different. Your next video won't be SmackDown, although SmackDown won't be far after that. But I want to go ahead and kind of get that video out to let you guys look at these 2 mods in particular. We'll do a little bit of looking back and forth, and then I want you to tell me which one are you most interested in. I think they're going to be 2 really fun choices to work with here. So I'm excited to kind of go through these. You'll be able to see what companies maybe are options in each of these, and we'll go from there. So I think that's going to be very fun. So we'll have that on the next video here on the channel, and then we'll pick right back up very quickly with SmackDown on the episode after that. So again, like, share, all that good stuff, and the next video will be a look at our next save on the channel, and with 2 choices that I think will be very entertaining to pick from.